I'm about to say something outrageous right now, so prepare yourself. I want to give you access to a secret psychological technique which will literally force your ex to forgive you for everything and desire you so badly that they will literally chase you around like crazy. Do you know that by pushing a few emotional hot buttons already located in your ex's mind, you can influence him or her to your way of thinking and make them feel an almost overbearing and irresistible urge to be with you again, desire you again, love you again? An urge so strong and intense that your ex will experience strong shivers of passion and adoration rush through their body at the very thought of you. An urge so intense that your ex will feel heavy spurts of hungry desire for you that will almost force them to hold you, touch you, and be with you once again. This same urge will make your ex feel an overflow of love, desire, and attraction towards you, even if they absolutely hated you until this point. I want you to stop whatever you're doing right now and pay very close attention to this free presentation, as I don't know how long I can keep it online. Why can't I keep it online for long? Well, there's a very good reason for this. I've revealed some very illogical and even ridiculous psychological tricks in this presentation. Heck, some of this is extremely controversial and could even piss a few people off, so I don't know how long I can keep it online. I can almost guarantee that this is nothing like anything you've heard or seen before, so make sure you watch it right now while it's still available. Now, I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine how good you will feel when the very person who is acting distant and avoiding you like a plague suddenly comes running to you, wraps his or her arms around you, hugs you so tight that it almost hurts, and gently whispers the 4 magic words you were dying to hear from them. I want you back. Imagine how exhilarating it'll be when the very person who never wanted to see your face is begging you to take them back with an agonizing sense of desperation raining from their eyes. Imagine how revealed you will feel when you finally see that dark cloud of depressing emotions start to dissolve and you will finally wave goodbye to that terrorizing breakup pain. Imagine how great it will be to finally wake up in the morning without feeling that tight knot of horrible pain in your stomach. Imagine how amazing it'll be when every muscle in your body experiences that delicious feeling of relief and satisfaction, and you feel blissfully happy once again. Imagine how euphoric you will feel when your ex finally calls you and tells you how much they've missed you, how badly they want to be with you, how sorry they are for everything and promise to never ever let you go again. What if I showed you exactly how you can use this psychological technique to not only get your ex back, but to trigger a unique kind of attraction which is so intense and emotionally powerful that they will never want to lose you again? And what if I further told you that this secret works for both men and women, and is so disgustingly simple that you'd kick yourself in the gut for not having discovered it earlier? Once you understand how to use this psychological technique, you will have an unfair advantage in every situation you encounter with your ex. You will feel a sense of power in your relationship like never before, and will have a wide grin plastered across your face, because now you will be able to make your ex feel extra passionate for you, whenever you feel like it. This very thing will give you the power to make your ex feel an almost obsessive and crazy amount of love for you. They will struggle to think of anyone else but you. I can promise that you will feel a sudden jolt of excitement work its way up your spine once you understand how easy this really is. I know it sounds too good to be true, and even impossible right now, but I can personally promise that after you finish watching this short presentation, you will know exactly how to use this psychological technique and will be blown away with the results you achieve with it. Trust me, this is one of the most important videos you are ever going to see. What you're going to discover about your ex from this video might be the most important 5 minutes you ever spend. My name is Ryan Hall, and I'm not some big relationship guru or a psychologist with a fancy PhD to my name. In fact, I'm an everyday average guy, but my crazy story will explain the main reason why I'm speaking to you today. I still remember that day very vividly. I was pacing around my room anxiously with a phone in my hand, grinding my teeth really hard and nervously trying to dial my girlfriend's number. She had avoided my calls for 3 days in a row, and panic was slowly starting to make its way into my life, and my heart was squeezing with pain. I could sense in my bones that something really awful was about to happen. I just felt it coming. Her phone started to ring, and this time she finally answered. I heard a heavy dose of sarcasm in her voice, and she appeared oddly cold and aloof. It felt like she was really pissed off over the fact that I called. There was a very unwelcome tension building up between us, and it felt like the volcano was on the verge of erupting. After a few minutes of very difficult conversation in a very distant and cold tone, she said, "I'm sorry, Ryan. I've wanted to tell you this for quite some time. We can't be together anymore." I felt this huge tremor of fear and uncertainty rising up in my body. Before I could say anything, she hung up. Utter silence on the line cut through the tiny bit of hope I was holding on to. I felt hot all of a sudden, and tears began to burn their way down my cheeks. An intense amount of depression flooded my body as I realized that I'd lost her, possibly forever. The pain was so bad that it felt like someone had punched me really hard in the stomach. It was utterly unbearable. I spent the next days drowned in panic-inducing pain and disappointment. I was laying flat on the bed one day, staring at the roof, when suddenly images of my ex flashed through my mind. I remembered all the amazing experiences we shared. I remembered our first ever kiss and that sudden rush of exhilaration I felt from feeling her warm body against mine. I remembered how good she smelled and how intensely we were in love with each other. Then all of a sudden, something hit me. Something inside me screamed, "What if she's already found someone else?" My temporary joy was taken over by this extreme sense of insecurity. I feared that some other guy is probably holding her, kissing her, and God forbid, having sex with her right now. I felt such an extreme sense of loss that I literally felt myself sinking deeper and deeper in the pool of despair. All the temporary comfort evaporated from my body like water evaporates from a glass on a hot sunny day. The breakup pain was already bad enough, but how was I going to deal with that crazy emotional tornado that would erupt when I witnessed her slipping away into the arms of some other man? I felt utterly powerless, and I knew that there wasn't a goddamn thing I could do to bring her back. My body ached with an intense sense of sickness. But that's when something really weird happened. My mind was telling me that it's all over, but my heart just wasn't ready to accept it. That's when something within me screamed, there has to be a way to get her back. I understood that I could fill oceans with my tears, but this situation wouldn't resolve by itself. I had to take some action, and had to do that fast. This is where I began my desperate search for solutions. I collected a bunch of relationship psychology books and read them page to page. I sucked every little to big piece of information like a super powerful vacuum cleaner sucks dust. I don't know if it was a matter of pure coincidence or sheer luck, but I couldn't believe what I had stumbled upon. It was the perfect psychological recipe to not only get your ex back, but to keep them attracted to you for as long as you please. Overwhelmed by this new discovery, I slowly started applying this to my situation. I can't share the whole story with you right now due to time and space limitations, but let me fast forward to the part you'll be interested in. What happened next was something I could never have imagined. My ex-girlfriend was at my doorstep crying, telling me how much she missed me, how much she regrets her decision to let me go, and how badly she wants me back in her life. I was literally shell-shocked and had my jaw dropped on the floor. I mean, I knew this technique would work, but I didn't know it would work this fast and this easily. It was at that moment when a completely random thought popped up into my head. I suddenly realized that there must be millions of people around the world who are currently suffering from the same heart-wrenching and agonizing breakup pain that I suffered from. Just imagining all this made my heart plummet with grief, and it was at that moment where I decided to make one of my core missions to help as many people as possible with my newly discovered information. Over the next few weeks, I shared this exact formula with one of my friends in a similar situation, and he had his ex calling him like crazy and begging him to get back together. I also shared this exact same technique with my cousin and helped her to go from a point where her husband of 3 years had literally abandoned her to the point where he was begging her for forgiveness and wanted her to give him another chance. In the coming months, my friends started referring their friends to me for relationship help. As funny as it sounds, I was being referred to as a relationship expert at this point. But one thing was a fact. I had the exact step-by-step recipe anyone could use to get their ex back. Now, I want to share that exact step-by-step recipe with you right here in this presentation. But before that, I want to give you some bad news. If you're anything like me, then you've already gone to the edge of insanity and back, torturing yourself after your breakup. You've probably blundered your way through all of it, making the most terrible mistakes, which you probably regret now. Tell me if any of this sounds familiar. You usually wake up feeling an almost unexplainable intensity of pain. The kind of pain where you feel like you're dragging your lifeless body around all day long and suffer from this lingering mood that feels almost impossible to cure. You constantly think about your ex and feel an overwhelming sense of pain and anxiety, along with an extreme sense of helplessness because they are completely avoiding you and you just can't seem to find a way to change that. You probably feel constant guilt over what you did or said and desperately wish you could somehow turn back time and undo all the mistakes. Perhaps you've pictured them with another guy or girl and felt your stomach cringe imagining them kissing or making love with this new person. Just thinking about your ex having a great time with a new person makes you experience a raging internal earthquake, and as a result, you're struggling to eat and your health has been suffering because of it. Maybe this overwhelming pain has pushed you into doing irrational and obsessive things. You've probably called your ex hundreds upon thousands of times while sending them endless texts and emailing to the point of oblivion, as you pleaded and begged them to give you one final chance, but all you ever got in return was the punishment of even more cruel and agonizing pain. If your situation is really awful, then you've even tried spying on your ex and constantly drive by their home, work, and hangout spots to check up on them. Maybe even obsessively check your phone, email, or Facebook account in hopes that your ex has finally left you a message. But the sad truth is, none of this has worked and you are still left with that cold, distant, and soul-destroying feeling in the pit of your stomach. You feel all alone because nobody understands you. Your friends and family tell you to just move on already, but they don't know what you're going through or how difficult it really is. If you've already followed this pattern and made some or all of these typical mistakes, then you've done a good but unfortunate job of pushing your ex further away. But let me tell you another thing. It is not your fault. Don't beat yourself over thinking and rethinking all of the mistakes you have made till now. It's really not your fault. I know how painful it is to feel absolutely restless and toss and turn all night because your mind won't stop thinking about your ex. I know exactly how it feels when you suddenly find your heart anxiously racing as you feel yourself sinking into this perpetual zone of depression because you just don't know what to do. Unfortunately, we don't come into this world with an instruction manual on how to manage this stuff. We aren't taught about relationships in school or college. Right now, it may seem so utterly hopeless, but now let me come to the good news. It will all change for you today. This means that you will never have to be tortured, burnt, or traumatized with this problem ever again. To illustrate this, let me ask you a strange question. Have you ever seen couples get back together after a breakup? I'm sure you have. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen couples reuniting even when one of the partners cheated or even worse, was abused? Okay, now you might be worried that I could be a freaking psycho or something for bringing up such an extreme example. Well, not exactly. Hear me out here, because the big question is this. How can people let their ex back into their life even when there was abuse or something unforgivably extreme involved? The fact of the matter is, people are willing to make up, even when there is something as severe as cheating or abuse involved in the relationship. This happens because human emotions are never permanent. In other words, if you hate someone right now, it doesn't mean you'll permanently hate that person forever. I'll explain the psychology behind this in a moment. But before that, I must clarify myself. I'm not trying to justify abuse. All I'm really saying is that no situation is impossible. There's hope in all cases. All right, now let me share the secret sauce with you. The exact step-by-step formula which I've used to help hundreds of men and women to successfully get their ex back. Please take notes, as this is extremely important. What I'm about to share with you is so important that without it, it will be utterly impossible to get your ex back. In fact, understanding this very thing is so important for you to learn that if you don't, your ex will push you away so much that they will eventually forget you completely and you will feel that they are gone forever. I call this process the pull your ex back formula, and it involves two extremely simple steps to pull your ex back into your life at rocket speed. Step 1. You have to appeal to the emotional side of your ex's mind. Every human has two minds, the conscious mind, which follows logic, and then the unconscious mind, which follows emotion. Our conscious mind is within our active control, while the unconscious mind is not within our active control. The conscious mind deals with our thoughts, while the unconscious mind is responsible for generating feelings and emotions. That's why it's also called the emotional mind. Moreover, here's the interesting thing. Whenever there's a battle between the conscious and unconscious mind, the unconscious mind wins hands down. In other words, emotion outweighs logic every single time. This is the primary reason why people still make up even after they've suffered intense abuse in the relationship. Logically speaking, going back to the person who abused you is a pretty bad idea. However, when you're feeling that intense emotional urge to go back to that person, you forget all logic and follow your emotions. Similarly, once you appeal to the emotional part of your ex's mind, You'll be able to make him or her literally dance to your tunes, since the emotional mind isn't within a human being's control. You'll be able to trigger feelings of love and affection within their mind, and your ex will have absolutely no idea how you're doing it. They'll just feel this strong inner urge to be with you again. On the other side of the spectrum, have you ever wondered why people fall out of love and start disliking the very person they love dearly? It doesn't happen because a person logically decided to stop loving their partner. It happened because on a deeper emotional level, that very person is getting these nasty feelings which are forcing them to distance themselves from their partner. The unconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever you sow, you will eventually reap. In order to get your ex back, you have to erase the negative image of yourself from your ex mind and replace that with a new positive image of yourself. Once you do that, your ex will feel these strong inner urges to be with you again. They will start liking you the way they liked you at early stages of your relationship. They will find it hard to keep you out of their mind, and they will want you back at any possible cost. I'll show you exactly how to do this in a moment, but before that, let me give you the second step. Step 2. You have to alter the feelings they attach to your mental image. There are 3 really important emotions your ex absolutely needs to feel to want you back again. These are desire, attraction, love. But right now,